Okay, guys. Right, this is a big one for me. This one felt vulnerable. Let's talk hair loss. Female pattern baldness. I said it. My hands are always dry. Anyway, don't worry about that. So, I noticed that my hair started breaking, because that's how hairdressers refer to it, when I was about 30. So it would grow and it would break. It would grow and it would break. It would grow and it would break. And every time I went to the hairdresser, they'll be like, oh, what are you doing to your hair? It's breaking. And it would always break off in the middle. And I used to have, like, you know, the M shape? Like, I know it may look like that now, but I promise you it's actually not. This is actually really good growth. I used to have the M shape. And I went through a phase of shaving my hair. I shaved all my hair off. I'll insert a picture. And I said, okay, I'm going to start from the beginning, because they're like, oh, your hair's broken. So I thought, oh, it's damaged. Cut it off, start again. So I did. Hair grew back. And this was over the pandemic. It grew back, but it grew back with the same issues. So it didn't grow back any stronger, any healthier. And I was like, what is going on? So a few years later, fast forward, I went back to a hairdresser. And I said to him, and at the time, I don't know why, but I didn't know anything about I didn't know anything about trichologists or like hair related specialists. I just thought, go to the hairdressers. The hairdresser looks at my hair and he was like, you have got, wait for it, male pattern baldness. I was like, say what? I was like, get up right now and put your duties up, because how dare you? Did you just call me a man? And he was like, no, girl, calm down. I'm talking about your hair. And I was like, it still hurts. What are you talking about? He was like, basically, it's the way your hair grows. It's hereditary. Now, luckily, my sister does not have that problem. And I'm going to set her a picture of her hair. She's got beautiful, full, thick, lustrous, luscious hair. I've got 3 sisters. And to be fair, she has got the best hair of all of us. But I think she takes after my dad's side. I take after my mum's side. I was like, all right, it is what it is, isn't it? But I'll be honest, like losing my hair I was just like in my 30s, in my early 30s. No, I'm not feeling it. So I was like, all right, let me start looking around, seeing what I can do. I started buying different creams. I used that T44Z. There is nothing that I have not tried. And so I asked the hairdresser, I was like, is there anything I can do to help this? He was a hairdresser. He wasn't a trichologist. So he said, no, it just is what it is. And I was like, I don't like that answer. So fast forward, I just continued to manage it, because I thought, okay, I'm going to try different hair creams. I shaved my hair again. I was like, let's really look after it, like put different creams on it, different shampoos, different lotions and potions. And to be fair, nothing worked. And then fast forward, I was 37, I think, when I had my daughter. So at 37, I was like, okay, I had my daughter, and then my hair grew thick, lustrous, and lush during pregnancy. And then I had my baby, and then 4 months later, it was like, oh, man, I'm going to insert a picture here if I can. If I can find that picture, I will insert it here. And the way my hair fell out, I remember my husband walking in the room, and he was like, oh, and he was like, oh, no, honestly, babe, it's not that bad. It was terrible. Look at me. I was like a balding chicken, a bald-headed scallywag. And I was like, God damn. Anyway, I was like, okay, it's cool. I'm gonna just wear a wig. I'll be all right. So wore a wig, and it did grow back, but it never grew back. Like, you know, I still always had the same issues where it was really, really thin around the front and it would break in the middle. And so I was like, okay, after giving it like, I think 2 years, I was like, you know what? I did a bit of research. I was like, let me go to Turkey and get a hair transplant. So in January 2023, I found a clinic, because I watched a lot of black girls. I think that Miriam Musa, there's another girl, another hairdresser, Andrea, I think I want to say her name is. I watched these 2 ladies, and I was like, okay, they're black. They've been to this clinic. I'm a holler at them, see what they're saying. Hollered at the clinic. They asked for pictures of your hair, because first of all, they need to assess if you're viable. And long story short, I went for a hair transplant. So I went to Turkey. Part of the reason I never did a review, I'll be honest, I wasn't crazy about the clinic. I want to remember what the clinic is called. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to insert their name somewhere up here. It was okay. Listen, they did a hair transplant, and I'll be honest with you, you can see that my hair now comes all the way. Now, I've got quite a hairy forehead, so my hair does like do this, but that's absolutely fine. All I wanted was a nice straight line, which I've now got. So they did their job, but was it great? Was I crazy about it? I've seen, basically there's another clinic called Heather, which I met another lady who was fantastic, and she went there, and I've just seen a few other people that have been to the Heather clinic, and I think they're better. So if you're going to go for a hair transplant in Turkey, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like, they didn't sponsor me. I didn't want, like, I did consider sponsorship, but then I was just like, if I'm not happy, I'm not about to fake it and say I was. I think they could have done it a bit better. I felt a bit like a factory chicken. We were just kind of like churned in and out. So the experience, and I think by default, the results were not as good as they could have been. It was sufficient, but not great. So here's the thing. Hair transplant, they take from the back of the hair. It was, oh, I have to say, the most painful thing I have ever experienced. I will insert some pictures of what I look like. I look like Quasimodo. When I tell you, I'm not, y'all should know me by now. I'm not afraid to go under the knife a little bit. And I had my daughter, and I've got very high pain threshold. I had my daughter with no epidural, no pain meds. They didn't even give me paracetamol because I was too far gone, and it was just like, all right, she's coming, girl, you just gotta push. And I have to say the hair transplant was more painful than childbirth. And that was the anesthetic. They had a big, massive ass needle about that big, and they drive it into your head. And I was like, oh my God, that was painful. Anyway, had the hair transplant. They had me out here looking like Don King. I looked crazy. So they left the middle of my hair, shaved the back because they need to take your scalp. So they are essentially moving that bit of your scalp to this bit of your scalp to essentially start growing back. Did it, they had me looking crazy. I came home and my husband was like, took one look at me and was like, girl, you look crazy. So I was like, for real, can we just shave this off? So I shaved my hair off again, and I, shaved it off, started again. I'll insert some pictures. It started growing, and then month by month it was getting better. And like I said, hair started filling out. But here's the thing that I feel like maybe not enough people talk about. If you do not address the underlying issues of hair loss, then the problem doesn't really fully go away. So yes, whilst I had some hair growing here, there was still a lot of breakage here, and it was still thinning out, and my hair was falling out, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Now, one thing about me is like, and everybody probably has this, when you have a surgery. So for those of you that know, I had a tummy tuck, and I had a boob job. Anytime you have any major surgery, basically what happens with your body is your body says, okay, we need to shut down the functions that are not essential and focus all our efforts on repairing and healing the areas that are damaged. So in my case, that was my hair is always the first to suffer. My body heals really well, but my hair always takes the hit. So instantly I lost a lot of hair when I had my tummy tuck, and I was like, bloody hell. So I've had a cycle of losing, gaining. That happens quite a lot, unfortunately. But like I said, I then also thought, right, okay, enough is enough. After that, I'm like, I've spent not even just the money, because, it was about $2,000 for the hair transplant, all in all, and that included travel, accommodation, transfers. It was perfect. Like, I have to say, in terms of the service, it was flawless end to end. Someone picked you up from the airport. It was great. But like I said, I feel like the clinic could have done a bit better, and that's just me keeping it real. To the point where I think I possibly could have another one. So what I would have liked is they did the implant from there. Personally, I feel like they could have gone all the way up here and given me like a much fuller hairline. But anyway, I'm not going to lie to you. The pain was so severe that I was like, I'm not doing this again. And so I didn't. I think I'm going to need to do a part 2 of this video. But basically, as a result, after doing this, I was like, the hair's still falling out. I'm still getting lots of thinning. I'm still getting lots of shedding. So the hair transplant worked. It was successful. But like I said, if you don't deal with the underlying issue, it comes back again. And so then I went to see a trichologist. Now, I'm going to do a part 2 and talk about what happened when I saw the trichologist.